So we got this whole Nick Shirley Act. Have you guys heard about this? This shit's pretty wild. So Nick Shirley, I like him. He's doing a good thing, but he's not exposing anything new. So Jennifer Van Laar that I talked about earlier, Katie Grimes with the California Globe. Actually, she might have wrote this. She did. So this is actually the article I have pulled up. This is from Katie Grimes. They have been exposing this fraud stuff for years, like the JIRLA shit, JIRLA, the hospice stuff. They've been talking about this shit for years. It's just Nick Shirley has like a bigger nationwide platform, and I think he's doing a good thing. He's drawing attention to this stuff, but I really wish Nick Shirley would do more to credit like the OG reporters that have been exposing this stuff, like Jennifer Van Laar and Katie Grimes. Like, they've been doing really good work for a long time, and they're sort of not getting the credit that they deserve for their reporting. So, but that's kind of neither here nor there with this, because now California is trying to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act to criminalize investigative journalism. So that's how the California Globe is reporting on this. I'll go to full screen because you're not going to read along with me. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited about the Great Dane. Okay, so California Democrats advance the Stop Nick Shirley Act to criminalize investigative journalism. This is from Katie Grimes. She says, California Democrats are trying to pass a bill that would criminalize journalists for violating privacy for immigration support service providers. That should say illegal immigration. California Assemblyman Carl DeMaio, a Republican out of San Diego, is slamming state Democrats for voting to advance a controversial new law, Assembly Bill AB 2624 by Assemblywoman Mia Bonta. Bonta, does that sound familiar? Yeah, that's Rob Bonta's wife, the California Attorney General. She's a Democrat out of Oakland. That family's got some corruption stuff allegedly going on too that I won't get into now, but it involves Shang Tao and her former sanitation engineer friend. Anyway, to silence citizen journalists and shield taxpayer-funded organizations from public scrutiny. Assemblyman DeMaio had a contentious exchange with Assemblywoman Bonta, the bill's author, in the Assembly Privacy and Consumer Protection Committee, when he had to press Bonta on the double standard her bill would create, particularly as the California legislature tries to, through legislation, to ban the same protections from law enforcement officers. As the Globe recently reported, California Democrats want to ban ICE officers from future state and local law enforcement jobs and impose selective taxation. In response to the deaths of the ICE protesters Renee Good and Alex Preddy, State Senator Caroline Minijivar, Democrat out of LA, said she is mobilizing a coalition of experts and legislators to fight back against the egregious and murderous overreach of the federal administration and call Goods and Pretty's deaths at the hands of federal ICE agents public executions. Certain political groups will have more protections and privacy than law enforcement, Assemblyman DeMaio said to Bonta. Assemblywoman Bonta retorted that her bill protects people being harassed, doxxed, and subjected to violence, allowing them to have the ability to protect themselves. Shouldn't law enforcement have that right, DeMaio asked? Bonta said she was solely focused on the contents of her bill and whether people working in immigration services will be protected under the law. Why are we treating sworn law enforcement officers differently than these agitators? DeMaio asked Bonta. They are doxxed, harassed, and subjected to threats of violence. It's a good point. Bonta got testy and said her bill doesn't have anything to do with law enforcement. Why would we have double standards? Why do we not offer the same protections for the men and women who put on the uniform every day, who are sometimes subjected to the very gross you are trying to protect? I think she wrote this article really fast because it doesn't read that well. DeMaio asked. Assembly Judiciary Committee explains the bill in recent analysis. In the wake of Trump's okay, I want to read about this new bill. Okay, I'm going to skip that whole paragraph. According to Assemblywoman Bonta, the bill's author, AB 2624 strengthens protections for individuals working in immigration service roles, including nonprofit staff, volunteers, and legal service providers who face but they're getting taxpayer money. These are non-governmental organizations that are getting tax dollars, who may face risks such as doxing, harassment, or threats due to the nature of their work. By extending safe at-home program protections, the bill allows eligible participants to keep their personal information confidential in public records, helping reduce exposure to harm while supporting the continued delivery of legal, social, and humanitarian services. The proposal promotes safety, privacy, and continuity of essential services, reinforcing public confidence and ensuring that those serving the communities across California carry out their responsibilities effectively and securely. What you're saying is you don't want people going to these hospice centers where there's 97 of them out of one building and all the freaking different units are empty. You don't want independent journalists going and investigating this stuff. That's what you don't want. DeMaio calls AB 2624 the Stop Nick Shirley Act for the chilling effect it will have on free speech and independent investigative journalism. AB 2624 comes as independent journalists Nick Shirley, James O'Keefe, and others have used viral videos to expose fraud and abuse in governmental funded programs using the group footage of firsthand documentation. AB 2624 claims to be about protecting immigration organizations from threats and violence, when in fact the legislation would apply to any left-wing group that claims to provide any service or legal or illegal immigrants. For example, under AB 2624, entitees like Somali Leering Daycare Center would be covered if they operated inside California, DeMaio says. During a recent assembly privacy, I got a phone call. During a recent Assembly Privacy and Consumer Protection Committee hearing, DeMaio directly confronted the bill's author, Mia Bonta, over language that would allow individuals affiliated with certain organizations to demand the removal of video recordings, even if taken in public, and even impose costly financial penalties against those who would publish videos online. So if Nick Shirley took a video of non-existent daycare centers and published it online, the state would be able to fine him. DeMaio warned the bill would be used to block investigative reporting and intimidate journalists, watchdog groups, and members of the public documenting wrongdoing. Rather than addressing DeMaio's concerns, committee chairman Josh Lowenthal chastised Assemblyman DeMaio for questioning the double standard. Here's Assemblyman Carl DeMaio's full statement on AB 2624. So DeMaio says, California Democrats are trying to intimidate citizen watchdog journalists and protect waste and fraud happening in far left-wing NGOs, non-governmental organizations that receive taxpayer funding money. AB 2624 can only be described as the Stop Nick Shirley Act, a bill designed to silence citizen journalists exposing fraud and abuse of taxpayer dollars. Instead of fixing the fraud problems uncovered, Sacramento politicians are trying to shut down the people exposing them. AB 2624 would allow activists and taxpayer-funded organizations to demand the removal of video evidence, even if it captures misconduct in plain view, and threatens journalists with massive financial penalties. That's not about public safety. It's about protecting powerful interests. If this bill becomes law, the message is clear to every journalist in California: expose corruption and you will be punished. AB 2624 is an unconstitutional direct attack on transparency and the First Amendment. It needs to be defeated. So yeah, this sounds freaking dubious. So let's go over to my buddy Max Bonta. Sorry, Max. I didn't mean to call you that. Max Bonilla. He was one of my first guests on the show. He's an awesome kid. He's like in his early 20s, and he's always talking about this stuff. He's really big over on Instagram. So yeah, Max Bonilla sort of breaks this bill down. Let's watch this quick clip from him.
In this building, right behind me, they just passed a bill that would practically outlaw Nick Shirley-style journalism by creating a chilling effect on people like him when they go expose fake hospice and daycare centers that use ghost or just non-existent clients. So here's the reality about this. If Nick Shirley were to go and record an employee or an owner of one of these fake operations under this bill that they just passed, he would be liable for a minimum of $4,000 in fines. Plus, he would face a 4-year injunction where he would not be allowed to record this person, whether it's the owner or an employee who is a fraudster, because they don't want to be included on camera. And then on top of that, the fines could multiply up to 3 times that if he refuses to take down the video. This is his First Amendment right, by the way. This is our First Amendment right to cover these issues, and they want to take that away from us. Now, if they can try to get him on fake doxing charges or fake he threatened somebody charges or fake he enabled a third party to put somebody else's life in danger kind of a thing, well, then he could get criminal charges, right? And a $10,000 fine. So in Gavin Newsom's California, if you attempt to expose a fraudster as a legitimate independent journalist, there is no carve out for you in this kind of a bill. And the reason is because they want to put you in jail. They want to throw you in jail. If they could, they would love to see you in jail. They would love to see you destitute, financially broke, bankrupt, because you're doing the citizens a favor by showing them the fraudulent and unethical places that their money is going. That's the bottom line. So next time you come across a immigrant services center, which is what this bill broadly defines, or if you're doing a video of it, which this bill broadly defines as harassment, you might find yourself in trouble.
So, I mean, yeah, it sounds like they're just trying to shut down prying eyes on fraudulent non-governmental organizations that are, it's the same thing we always talk about. It's like the homeless industrial complex stuff where they get taxpayer dollars to fix a problem, but they don't have any incentive to fix that problem because their funding depends on it. So they ask for more money the next year because the problem got worse. And then they fund the campaigns of the politicians that are voting for these programs to be funded initially. So it's just this dubious, fraudulent circle jerk that's going on. So, ironically, after Nick Shirley did all his reporting on these hospice centers, oh, look it, Rob Bonta did his own investigation. It's crazy that it didn't happen until Nick Shirley put all these eyes on it. So, yeah, CCP, no, censorship. For full, as Gavin Newsom would say, censorship, full stop. All right, let's listen to what Rob Bonta has to say about these fraudulent hospice centers.
We're here today to announce the results of a massive hospice fraud bust in Los Angeles County, and it's called Operation Skip Trace. Operation Skip Trace uncovered and ended a hospice fraud scheme that defrauded Medi-Cal.
Oh, their investigation uncovered it. It's weird how this investigation, I wonder how long it's been going on. Did it start after Nick Shirley blew the lid off the whole thing?
Of $267 million. So just to be clear, $250 million. Over. Funds that are paid for by California taxpayers, funds that are meant to provide care to Californians in need. It is unacceptable, it is illegal, and we will not stand for
it. He only did this because they got busted. There's no way he would have done this investigation if he hadn't gotten busted on it. So here's Katie Grimes from the California Globe again talking about this. So she says, California AG Rob Bonta didn't need to wait so long to uncover fraud in California. Governor Newsom has been providing fraud since elected. Governor Newsom approved spending $1.5 billion in taxpayer dollars funding on masks from Chinese electric bus company BYD during the COVID flu. BYD had no history of making personal protective equipment, and yet days after the FDA approval, it secured a $1 billion deal to supply masks to California. California State Protocol Foundation, a nonprofit tied to Newsom, which is only 50% rating from the Charity Navigator, handed out cell phones with Newsom's personal number to CEOs in 2024, funded by private donations from businesses he regulates. Meanwhile, Jennifer Sybil Newsom, Gavin's first partner, representation project went delinquent in 2022 for flouting charitable registration rules, yet kept hosting glitzy galas bankrolled by the same corporate cronies. The IRS gutted the decades of underfunding, does nothing. The Newsom behest contribution scam legalized influence peddling that Newsom has mastered. In 2019, he solicited nearly $8 million for his inaugural bash and wildlife relief, much of it from corporations with state businesses. In 2020, he pulled in $26 million for COVID-19 efforts with heavy hitters like Blue Shield, $1 million, and McKinsey and Company, $250,000 chipping in, only for McKinsey to later snag a $35 million state contract. So there it is. They fund, things, and then they get these no big contracts on the back end. Jennifer Sybil Newsom solicited state vendors and governor's campaign donors for large gifts to her charity, the Representation Project. There is more, link below. So I don't have time to get into that, but yeah, it's so rampant and far spread that it's like every single initiative or program that the California government gets involved in is just a big fraudulent freaking scam. Allegedly. It's fund this nonprofit that I started, and then you'll get a no bid contract on the back end. All that kind of shit. High speed rail, same freaking thing. These unions is all right. I'll keep going. So, all right, this is from the California Post. LA's top federal prosecutor makes mind-melting claim about the scale of California fraud. Los Angeles top federal prosecutor said that Californians can only imagine the extent of fraud in their state following the announcement of a $270 million Medi-Cal scammers arrest this week. So Bill Asaley, first assistant U.S. Attorney General for the Central District of California, didn't hold back while discussing the case during an appearance on Fox News, saying the scheme unfolded during a nearly year-long period when the state took its eye off the ball. So this is another one. This is another just giant scam. Let's see if the video's here. Okay, I guess the video's not here. Okay, so he took $200 million from the state of California's Medi-Cal system in an 11-month period because they suspended their fraud prevention measures that they had on their website, as Ailey said, describing the case of the Orange County's Paul Richard Randall, 66, who admitted to orchestrating a massive billing scam that drained millions from Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal is California's Medicaid. So this guy took advantage of it. 200 million, one guy, 11 months. So just to calculate how much fraud you think there actually is in the state of California. Yeah, it's like that's just one thing. 200 million, one guy in 11 months from California's Medi-Cal bullshit.